Episode 5 of Tulsa King Season 3 picks up right after the fallout from Tyson's blunder, showing Dwight tightening his grip on both his operations and the people around him. The Montague Distillery's launch is approaching, and everyone from Bigfoot to Bodie is working around the clock to make it a success. In one of the opening scenes, we see Mitch, Cleo, Grace, and Bodie gathered together, confirming that some of the most prestigious names in the liquor world, like American Whiskey, Bourbon Plus, Wine and Spirits and Liquors, will be attending the inauguration. These big names aren't just coming to celebrate. They're here to evaluate Dwight's bourbon and decide whether his new business can hold its ground in the industry. Meanwhile, Bigfoot, ever the unexpected artist, carves a massive bourbon bottle out of ice with Montague Distilleries engraved on it, a subtle reminder that there's more to him than brute strength. Back home, Dwight and Margaret discuss Thresher's growing political influence. Dwight doesn't hide his disdain, insisting that no amount of publicity can make Thresher likable. Margaret, however, has her own motives. Helping Thresher win the gubernatorial election could restore her full ownership of her ranch, and she's not about to let that opportunity slip away. She plans to invite Thresher to the launch party, an idea Dwight initially resents until he realizes his frustration comes from jealousy, not logic. Setting aside his emotions, he supports her decision, even if reluctantly. Elsewhere, Bill receives a call from Vince, who probes him about Dwight's bourbon business and whether he plans to switch sides by joining forces with Quiet Ray. Bill shuts down the conversation quickly, saying if Ray has a problem with Dwight, he should handle it directly instead of trying to recruit him. This moment subtly reaffirms where Bill's loyalties lie for now. At Montague Distilleries, Dwight and Tyson arrive to inspect the progress. Joanne greets them warmly, and Dwight can't help but admire the transformation. Everything looks professional, yet Bodie seems tense. When Dwight presses him, Bodie admits that the business's financial structure is far more complex than he anticipated, leaving him uneasy. Dwight advises him to run his concerns by Goody, then heads off to speak with Bill. At this point, Dwight assumes Bill might betray him, given their frequent clashes. But instead, Bill warns him that Vince and Ray are plotting against him and may already be tightening their grip, possibly by placing spies in Blue Hills. Bill suspects Armand, who's been notably absent, might be the weak link. Dwight tries to downplay the situation, but Bill insists they're underestimating their enemies. He urges Dwight to act before the tension explodes into a full-blown war. Before Dwight can process Bill's warning, he gets a call from Deacon demanding a meeting. When Dwight tries to postpone it, Deacon gives him 5 minutes to change his mind before hanging up. Moments later, Musso calls, instructing Dwight to agree to the meeting, revealing that Musso has been eavesdropping on Dwight's private conversations. It's not a mole leaking information. Musso has bugged Dwight's phone. Realizing resistance is futile, Dwight agrees to meet Deacon. At the Bread $2 saloon, Deacon is already waiting, having predicted Dwight's decision. Dwight brings Tyson, but asks him to stay outside. He doesn't want him involved in what's about to happen. Deacon, calm and calculating, makes small talk, but Dwight gets straight to business. He wants to blow up Jeremiah Dunmire's mansion and needs Deacon to design an explosive, powerful enough to do it in one hit. Deacon names his price, Dwight pays up front, and the deal is sealed. When Dwight exits, Tyson spots Deacon, but doesn't realize who he is, something that could create tension later if the truth comes out. Meanwhile, one of Bill's men secretly photographs Deacon leaving the bar, hinting at more trouble ahead. Over at the Dunmire estate, Jeremiah is furious. His son Cole has failed him twice. First by losing control of their digital operations, and then by getting captured by Dwight, which cost them their stolen liquor. Jeremiah orders Cole to gather a team of 8 men to sabotage Dwight's upcoming launch. At the same time, Jeremiah meets with Attorney General Sackrider, yes, that's really his name, threatening him to send a health inspector to shut down Montague Distilleries before the event begins. Jeremiah reminds Sackrider that he owes his position to him and expects loyalty in return. While Jeremiah schemes, Cole spends time at the Bread $2 with Spencer, the bartender Dwight has always treated kindly. What starts as harmless flirting soon becomes genuine affection. Initially, it seems Cole might be using Spencer to get to Dwight, but it's clear he's actually falling for her. Sadly, Cole's independence is a fantasy. His father still controls his every move, and this romance is doomed before it begins. As the launch party kicks off, Mitch notices the venue crawling with Bill's men and warns him that their presence is making people nervous. Cleo asks Joanne about Dwight's whereabouts, anxious to start since the distinguished guests, including Margaret and Thresher, have already arrived. Before Dwight can show up, a health inspector named Leary appears unexpectedly to conduct an inspection. Joanne loses her temper, and Bodie has to pull her aside before she says something that could justify a shutdown. Leary insists on seeing the barrel room, so Bigfoot and Goody accompany him. Once inside, Leary starts nitpicking safety violations and threatening to close the place. Acting on impulse, Bigfoot knocks over several barrels, crushing Leary beneath them. When Goody checks, He finds Leary's skull shattered. It's a shocking and brutal twist, the first real jolt of chaos in an otherwise slow season. Mitch later suggests framing the death as a workplace accident to cover their tracks. Meanwhile, Jeremiah, suspicious that Leary hasn't called back, storms the distillery with his men to publicly challenge Dwight. Dwight and Tyson arrive just in time. But before Dwight can even get settled, the Dunmires crash the event, accusing him of displaying stolen liquor and turning the celebration into a disaster. Spencer, realizing Cole's role in the attack, is heartbroken, while Cole himself seems disillusioned by his father's manipulation. Jeremiah, however, doesn't see the damage he's caused, until Sackrider warns him that this stunt will backfire unless he can fabricate evidence. Once the chaos settles, Joanne laments that the night has ruined their reputation. But Dwight, ever the optimist, rallies his crew, insisting they'll bounce back stronger. Later, Goody and Mitch lead Dwight to Leary's body, and together they agree to stick to the accident story. Bodie will find the body during his rounds, and they'll make it look like a tragic mishap during inspection. In the closing moments, Bill visits Dwight's home, demanding answers about his absence during the party. When Dwight gets defensive, Bill admits he had his men tail him and saw him meeting an unknown figure Deacon. Bill accuses Dwight of running a secret side deal and possibly cutting him out of the profits. Dwight explodes, accusing Bill of treating him like a snitch. Bill presses him, asking how he'd respond if their roles were reversed. Would he ignore suspicion or confront it head-on? Dwight doesn't answer, and Bill leaves. Moments later, he's pulled over by a swarm of armed police and arrested. Thank you for watching.